How's it going, everybody? We are back for the Wednesday show. Just coming off God, it seems like forever since the last time we played football, since we played on that opening, that primetime game on that Thursday night, which we got the victory, and we're still reveling in that ever since. As as always, my co-host with me, Bonzo1273. You guys know him on Twitter, Mike Ristano. Michael, how are you doing tonight?
It's our holiday again. Wednesday. To some, it's the middle of the week. To others, like ourselves and a lot of our followers that have told us the same thing. It's almost as good as a Browns Sunday. So we're at the halfway mark. We're almost there. Today was pretty positive across the practice field.
It was.
Yeah, and we're gonna blink and we're gonna be in Cleveland. So it's good. Excited. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, welcome Hambo, Ryan Brown, Steve T's in the house. What's going on, guys? Yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. First and foremost, we had Baker Mayfield throwing some rockets out there today. I don't know if
Yeah,
you saw some of the reports. I'm sure you
I
did.
did. Yeah,
What It was interesting how he kept his left shoulder kind of tucked in a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that as well, but
yeah.
what
Look,
were your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, he looked good. I saw a couple things, a couple close up shots of him, and it seems that he's wearing a different type of harness, and so that'll be interesting to see. How that progresses during the week, and if he's wearing the same one on Sunday. I will say, and you just touched upon it. I mean, I saw a bunch of clips today from practice, and I mean, he looked good. He had velocity on the ball. Uh, he was accurate, and I know it's a skeleton thing, but still, I mean, he was putting the ball where it needed. And the other thing I thought, uh, was a positive sign was, last time when he I guess I should say when he first dislocated it. If you remember that first practice, he couldn't even move it. He was, simulating handoffs with the other hand, etc.
Yeah.
And today he was, if you didn't know that he had separated his shoulder, you wouldn't have been able to tell unless you've studied his mechanics. I mean, you could see the harnesses keeping the arm close to the body, but other than that, I thought he looked good.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess Nick Mullins is back down in the practice squad. So, if he's not getting any reps, not even second team reps, it looks like Baker's a go,
Yeah,
right? Which is great, right? I mean, we got our starting quarterback back. I think Baker at 75% is probably what we're going to get out of Keenum anyway. You know,
agreed.
I thought Keenum did an exceptional job though
Hmm.
in in Baker's position there on Thursday. There was a couple plays that if he doesn't gut it out, we don't get first downs, and we may not win that game
Yeah,
versus a very mediocre Denver Bronco team who was also suffering from some of their star players being out. Teddy Bridgewater was playing on half a leg but still moving around like Lamar Jackson out there.
yeah,
And then Von Miller in the middle of the damn game gets taken out. So it's almost like the same thing that happened in the Texans game when Tyrod went out after playing really well. Who knows what would happen there?
yeah.
Um, I think it's just. I mean, thank God we won that game. If not, like we talked about, it was a must win. We had to win it. Case Keenum did his job. He earned his $6 million. You know,
Certainly did.
he did, and all hell would be breaking loose right now if and the blame would be placed on Baker. The media would have something to talk about if Case Keenum didn't win that game. So yeah, and then to see him out there throwing the ball and looking pretty sharp from the video that we saw today that got sent out via Twitter.
Yeah,
I thought it looked good. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we don't have to. And I'm not saying that Case Keenum isn't a good backup. He certainly is. He proved that he is. But how much can we expect out of him? And is he somebody that you're going to want to watch week in and week out? No, he's backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it was glaringly obvious, and I know it was windy the other night, but still, I mean, you could tell when someone can get the ball through the wind or not, and Baker's a guy that certainly has the arm to be able to do that, and you saw that was lacking, with Keenum. But the one thing that I really liked about Keenum in the game, and we talked about it on the post game show, is just the poise in the pocket and the ability to climb the pocket while keeping his eyes downfield, still trying to keep something alive. I think that's something that we saw at the end of the year, that Baker was there, where he was feeling more relaxed in the pocket. He was climbing the pocket. He was going through his reads and progressions. And then, you could say it's the injury. I don't know. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but we haven't seen that recently. So, here we are, going into the Steeler game. I again, Baker's the better quarterback. There's no question about that. The line's healthy, or as healthy as they've been since training camp. So you have to believe he's gonna have time back there, and he should have Chubb back there again. And D'Ernest is a formidable, cohort, if you will, to him in the backfield. So yeah, full complement of receivers. I know Jarvis went down last week. Towards the end, he tweaked that leg, but he was back in the victory formation, and I think he was blocking on a play before that. So, they're just giving him a little rest this week, and I'm sure we'll see him on the practice field before Friday. And I mean, really, Mike, when you think about this, and some things can change, but when you looked at the injury report yesterday, usually, guy, I believe it's in parentheses, denotes the injured guys on the depth chart, on the roster, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them were showing up as injured. So, I was surprised to see, and Ward didn't practice today, but that's understandable. He's still nursing that hamstring. But point being is, if you took the depth chart and the roster the way it is today, and that's all we can go on.
Mm-hmm.
But, it seems like we'll be full complement on the offensive side of the ball, except for Hunt. I know DPJ has that groin, but again, he's not listed on the, he wasn't listed as injured on the depth chart. And then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and AJ Green's going to go, and it looks like Denzel, even though they're resting him, he's going to go. So really, at this point, you could say, could change, but we're really only missing Hunt and Jock. Now, two big guys, obviously, and understandable, but it's good to see that we're starting to get healthy.
Well, it looks like today Jadeveon Clowney did not practice. Malik Jackson didn't practice. LeCount didn't practice. Jarvis didn't practice.
Hey, LeCount's interesting. He didn't practice for disciplinary reasons.
Yeah, non-injury related discipline. I wonder if he was late to a meeting or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I found that interesting.
How are you going to be a grown man and you have to be disciplined in that job? And it's not like LeCount is some secure guy on the roster,
Right.
Oops. God, man, that is just frustrating. But nonetheless, did not practice. And then Denzel Ward didn't either. A whole lot of people who were limited. Yep. I mean, it'll take me an hour to read off this list, but half the damn team is limited. Whereas the Steelers, Roethlisberger has a pectoral / hip injury that is limited practice.
I feel like his pec is always hurt.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because it's pectoral and hip. It seems like literally two old people type injuries.
Right.
If you've got a pectoral and hip injury, take this pharmaceutical medication that's advertised on cable news 24/7.
Like he was falling down the stairs, hit his sternum, and then threw his hip out at the same time.
Exactly. He you know what actually just kind of struck me was this could be Ben Roethlisberger's last game in Cleveland.
True.
and a guy who has somewhat tortured the Browns throughout his entire career. Um, you know, I he's tortured a lot of people on and off the field, if you know what I mean. But
He
particularly the Browns.
I just caught that. He had a backhanded compliment. I don't even know if you would call it a compliment, but I don't know if did you see any of his media availability today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so they asked him about, the rivalry, quote unquote, being back on, etc. And he went through the whole, standard, canned response or whatnot.
Right.
And then he ended it with, it's just good to now not be the most winningest quarterback in their stadium.
I mean, it's a fair flex. If I'm being honest, he earned that. It's probably one of the saddest sports stats that I know of. Right? Yeah. I mean, how that he plays in the stadium once a year, and he was the winningest QB since we've been back.
Yeah, think about that. And obviously no playoff games.
Right. Right. And then you think about, like, we could have even drafted him. I feel like Ben Roethlisberger, to be fair, thinking back to Ben Roethlisberger when he was drafted, were there many quarterbacks, and I can think of one, that were small school guys that were drafted in the first round? The one guy that stands out to me pre-Roethlisberger was Steve McNair. I don't remember a lot of guys that were small school guys like that. Because then after Roethlisberger, you had a bunch of guys, right?
Oh yeah,
but
even and again, I mean, Gannon came from Delaware, but again, he was a Roethlisberger type where, the tape didn't lie, and they felt that, he would have had no problem playing at the 1A level. At back then, it was 1AA, 1A. Mm-hmm. And obviously we saw what he did, but then, like, to your point, then you look years later, Joe Flacco, another guy, came from my home state. And then of course he had Carson Wentz and now Josh Allen. So yeah, but to your point, like you rarely saw anybody. If you didn't play 1A, it was very rare to see you on an NFL roster, especially at the quarterback position, I should say.
Right. He almost like kind of brought in this new wave to say, like, hey, you don't have to be one of these, top program guys and make it. But you know what the weird thing is? Those guys who are like first round guys, who are small school first round guys that get drafted high, they always make it. There's never a guy that they're like, you know what? It is, South Dakota A&M.
Yeah,
and then they get drafted and they flop like they're supposed to.
No, agreed. And what's interesting too is if you look at that draft, and Cal, I wouldn't say Cal is small time, but it's not a football U, like you don't hear about everybody being drafted out of Cal, and that's Aaron Rodgers in the same draft. So yeah, I mean the two of them essentially, started that trend.
Yeah, I remember I saw Aaron Rodgers because his senior year he played Virginia Tech in a bowl game.
Yeah,
and I remember I was like, man, he is good. We always seem to play against like stud quarterbacks in bowl games, like always. And I mean, I saw what's his face from the Colts, Andrew Luck play against him.
Wow.
I mean, it was like every year we were just first round quarterback guys just beating the crap out of us in bowl games. But yeah. So this is going to be kind of I have to assume this is the end of an era.
Yeah.
He's not going again next year. There's no way.
No. And another guy that I saw play at Temple or against Temple, I should say. And I mean, the talent stood out. Small town school. I mean, he bounced around. He might still be in the league, but Blake Bortles from UCF.
Sure.
Like when watching him live, like you could tell, like uber talented guy. And I saw Bridgewater too, back in the day. But Bortles was, yeah. I mean, he and obviously Temple wasn't. Their program got a little bit better. But back then it was they were still borderline. So I mean, it's the talent
They're
wasn't
Big East,
exceptional. Right? Yeah, Big East, but Bortles was, I mean, the arm strength and just throwing it all over the place. I think one of his receivers set a record that day, but yeah, it was pretty wild.
I think he had like Marquise Lee. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I remember when because I was here in Orlando when Blake Bortles was in school, and I mean he kind of put UCF on the map of like relevancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean Ben Roethlisberger is, for all intents and purposes, I remember his first couple seasons, they didn't hardly ever let him throw. He had Bettis, he had a defense, and he had a great running game.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he had guys like Hines Ward who would just save him from everything. I mean, that guy had on and off the field. I mean, any other quarterback, if it was, let's say it was Aaron Rodgers, or let's say it was Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady coming into town. I mean, as a fan and out of respect for the game, those are guys that I would, if we lost the game or whatever, even at the end, I would take my hat off and cheer for a legendary type player that are, a generational Hall of Fame type talent that we got to see. I don't care what Ben Roethlisberger does. I don't care what he does. I don't think he's a good human being. And beyond the beating the Browns, beyond all that stuff, like the on or the off-field stuff with him is, in my book, I just don't. It's inexcusable, and you can't let that not be part of the conversation. I mean, he was assaulting women before it was cool. Before Deshaun Watson, which is now the new news that's out today. I'm sure you saw that the deal is going through for Miami.
Well, it was going to, but you know what? I don't think he gets moved, because the stipulation was they need to know that the the legal ramifications are nothing, and he's going to be cleared, and obviously they can't guarantee that. So it's like, it's one of those things, deal in principle, except for, and then pencil in the reason. Usually it's there's a sticking point on money or years, but in this case it's right, the legality of it. So,
well, why can't they just, I mean, and I don't know the rules here, right, about the contracts, but why couldn't they just say, hey, this is all contingent. We're going to give you, all the draft picks. We're going to do all the stuff that you want. We get Deshaun Watson, and then it's contingent upon his legal issues not creating a situation where he can't play. Why can't they just build that into the contract? Like games played, like if he plays X amount of games for us and then the legal issues come, then they're off the hook, or if something happens with the legal issues and then he doesn't reach X amount of games for them, then they give him back, they get back the draft picks.
Well, the other thing too that was going on that was interesting, beyond the fact that it came out that Goodell said that the people involved in the investigation into the WFT wanted transparency, and then their attorney came out and said that is not true, because the NFL was going to table and essentially said, that's it, it's over, nothing's coming out, due to the transparency of that was requested of the people that came out and spoke and testified and whatnot. But their lawyer came out and said that's not the truth. And now Al Davis said, well, I'd like to see what's going on with the emails, and and what have you. But then on top of that, the commissioner, when asked about Deshaun Watson, and if a trade did go down, would he be put on the commissioner's exempt list?
Right.
And he,
And he said, yeah,
he came out and said, well, we like to
play.
see the investigation go on first, and then we don't like to to meddle, and we'll see after the fact or whatnot. So there wasn't even really a clear cut answer of no. So I guess you could see because I mean, really, when you think about it, even with the stipulation, let's say they did put stipulations on it and said, okay, well, if he does get indicted on X, Y, and Z, we'll give you the draft picks back, excuse me. But I think the bigger issue is once you open that bag and the cat comes out, you can't put him back in, because then now you've moved Tua, and now who's starting for you? So it's
that's the thing. I think that they are willing to go away from Tua. I think if they're willing to make the trade from Deshaun, then they have to be willing to sleep in the bed that they're making. In terms of, like, we are 100% okay moving off of Tua.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And here's the sad thing about it is, there's Tua's hadn't lit it up, and he certainly didn't do, what Joe Burrow has done, and who else came out in that Joe Burrow draft? It was Burrow, Tua. There's another quarterback that came out in the draft.
Somebody else.
Who are just doing well,
Yeah.
So it's like he looks. It makes him, it makes him look worse because of the competition that he kind of came out with, and then he had some injuries, and he had the back and forth stuff with Fitzpatrick, and then they said, okay, we're moving away. We're Herbert. Yeah, there you go. BC or BMC said Herbert. That's right.
And what's crazy is if you remember back when Herbert was a senior, right? When he left.
God, I want to say he was.
Yeah, I think he had to be, because I mean, I remember plain as day prior to Baker when Herbert was all the rage. Remember? He was all the rage. He's going to be the number one clear-cut pick, et cetera, and he was supposed to come out, I think, that next year. And if you remember, something happened that I can't remember. It wasn't an injury, but he was off for the 1 year, and then the talk went away from him. And even during the draft, I mean, people were, he was in the conversation of top 5, top 6, but it wasn't the the hype of what it was when he was a sophomore. And look at him now.
I mean, the one thing that's not undeniable about a guy like Justin Herbert, he's 6'6".
Yeah,
he's 6'6",
big kid,
236, and I know height isn't the only thing. You look at guys like Kyler Murray tearing it up, guys like Drew Brees tore it up for a long time. Drew Brees is in the conversation for greatest ever, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not the only thing. But I will tell you, when you sit there and you watch a guy like Joe Burrow, it's just, and then Justin Herbert, and you just look at, and Josh Allen, you see these guys that are just beasts, and you're like, that size, the ability to see over those giant people, it's just an important thing, right? And it really comes down to, that point in time. And I think after Baker's rookie year, there wasn't a single doubt that we had the right guy. Wasn't a single doubt. And who knows? I mean, Baker could play another 10 plus years in this league and have some seasons where he tears it up, throws 40 plus touchdowns. And but he's got to get there. He's got to do that, and then he's got to win in the playoffs in order to kind of earn that respect amongst everybody, amongst the fans, amongst the organization, and the media and everybody else involved, right? Hey, Dad.
Yeah,
I see my dad's in chat, so we should
there he is.
probably get to this PFF section. We can probably talk about Baker and
Hey,
Roethlisberger.
hey, you know what? A good lead in. I know they've been talking about it in the chat, and you just brought up the quarterback, but you look down at that team in Cincinnati, and I mean, we went from that story coming out that Jamar Chase is used to the white stripes on the college ball, and it's hard for him to spot the ball. To arguably, you could make the argument in week 8, without a doubt, that Jamar Chase might be the best wide receiver in the game right now, as of week 8. You could make the argument. You really could.
You could.
And what I find interesting is you look at the Burrow and the Chase pairing, and that's what we were supposed to have with Baker and OBJ, and it just hasn't blossomed into that yet. And you hope it does, but I mean, we don't know, and OBJ is just getting older, and as we know, when we get a little bit older, and it's not like he's a 35-year-old man, but I think he's 29 or 28 or whatever he is. And you just start having little things break down where you might have been reaching for a ball a certain way, and all of a sudden you get to the point and your body's like, yeah, no, we don't like to bend that way anymore. And then now the other shoulder's jacked up. And so, one thing leads to the next thing and to the next thing. And then you could play, the hindsight game and say, what if, the last year or two, we actually tried to find a way maybe to move back up, or maybe there was a guy in the second round. And I'm sure we could find a dozen that, could have been our Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, a young guy paired with a young guy.
We could have got DK Metcalf that year.
That's true. So
for nothing.
So, the verdict's still out on the Baker to OBJ.
Well, I think this
but
too, and this is one thing that I think, as Browns fans, I think we're kind of overlooking the fact that if you're comparing us to the Bengals or the Ravens or anybody else out there who's got that quarterback wide receiver connection that's clicking, like they do in Buffalo, like they have, in a lot of places.
Yep.
The one thing that they don't have is they don't have a guy like Nick Chubb. And I almost feel bad because we spend so much time talking about and worrying about OBJ and Baker and all how these guys are doing, and we're overlooking the fact that we were blessed with such a amazing running back, and that's what our team's been built around, and it's unfortunate that Baker and OBJ haven't been able to put it all together. It's unfortunate, but I think at this point, as you're mentioning the age, him and Jarvis, they're not getting any younger. They're getting dinged up. And we could be seeing, I think this could be the last year. I don't know what the contract situation look like and everything like that. But this could be the last year that we see Baker and OBJ and Jarvis, because I think the organization sees the same stuff we do. Like they're not going to sit there and go, let's keep going down this with these guys, because if it's not working, when is it going to work?
Yeah, and it very well may turn around Sunday, but we're still waiting.
Well, let's hop over to the PFFs. Let's jump into it. I will let you take the wheel, and you whatever you've got prepped in terms of offense, defense, whatnot. Let's rattle through it.
So before I even get, so I have the defensive scores up, And so we'll go defense first, and then we'll go to offense. But
Okay.
the one thing that I wanted to say before, and I'm not even going to go look at the grade because it's so weird when you're looking through the kicker grades and whatnot. But and knock on wood, I don't want to jinx anything, but I mean Chase McLaughlin. I mean, I don't even know what it's like anymore to like just score a touchdown and know it's going to be 7, or line up for a field goal, and unless it's blocked, I mean, this kid's splitting uprights. So it's good to see that we finally found our new wave Phil Dawson, if you will, and those are big shoes to fill, and I'm, I don't want to put too much on him, but I mean, for what we've seen since Phil, this has been a really good thing. So hopefully we see him carry on that boot this weekend. But anyway, I digress. So who do you think is number one?
Well, the offensive line played really well. I know Ernest is up there.
Oh, sorry. I went defense first.
Oh, you went defense. I thought, okay.
Yeah,
for defense. My bad. I always seem to think we start with offense. On the defensive side of the ball,
I will
honestly,
say
I'm not sure. I'm trying to guess, and I don't even know.
You don't even get into like the yellow that's turning orange that eventually is going to turn red. We'll take it a step further. There's only one guy that's red on the defense PFF scores. That's Malcolm Smith at the bottom, 25 snaps. He had a 29-5, horrible game for him. But everybody else, and again, I mean, the orange, you have like 48s and 49s, but Miles came in at 33 snaps, 25 pass rush, 8 run defensive snaps for an 86.0, 72.4 tackling score, and an 86.9 pass rushing score. So yeah, the big guy is at the top again, and a victim for the third straight week of a substance test.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
That's getting, and he even wore the sleeves. Didn't matter.
It's weird. They're testing for everything. They're like HGH and everything now too. So not just like, anabolic stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Wild.
Seems like he's passing them though.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Just built different,
Yeah.
Who came in number 2? So
this is a good one to see, and so we're gonna group it together. How about that?
Got it.
Number 2 and number 5 are good to see, and the reason why I say that is the guy that normally plays this spot and has taken over the spot and is a human missile, and we know who that is out. So you only hope that you next man up mentality, and you get that. Obviously they're not going to be jock, but you want those guys that are still playing solid, and they're not helping you lose games, they're helping you win games. So 2 is Taki.
Wow. And
the cool thing too is that I'll break down too. But so both of them played the will. So you've got Taki with 17 snaps, and he's an 83.0 on defense. Tackling score is kind of rough, but you know how PFF goes. I mean, he could have missed one tackle. 77.6 in coverage. And I mean, that's saying something, because chances are that coverage grade was against Noah Fant, who we talked about last Wednesday of he could be a difference maker, and we needed to shut him down. And the guys did a really good job, against him. And we talk about all the time when we're doing these PFFs, in terms of snap count. And so you figure Taki had 17 snaps. Then you go to number 5 at 17 snaps. So equal snaps for a 79.5, 78.9 tackling grade, and a 79.1 in coverage on 17 snaps is the other Will backer, and that's yours truly, Mac Wilson.
You know
So,
what? I had a feeling Mac Wilson was going to have a good scoring game. He was just showing up on the TV a lot.
yep, yeah, he was flashing. And you know what? We dog him. We've always dogged him. But the one thing, if you've noticed, and I know you do, because
Oh, I do.
we were very observant for a very long time.
Yeah, Mac. It was just almost the Mac Wilson when the Wilson show last
It
year.
really was. And so what's interesting, and again, it's 17 snaps, but we've seemed to find his sweet spot between like 10 and 17 is where he really gets, those good performances.
Yep.
But back to what we were just talking to and alluding to, if you noticed, since his little guy was born, he's sort of taken a step back from, trying to fight the good fight against the Browns fans that are negative towards him. And, he posts pictures of his son and, just things that we post, no getting into it with anybody anymore, or whatever. And if you ask me, it seems like he's pretty focused, and you're seeing that in the scores, and you're seeing it on the field, because like you said, I mean, we've seen him flash. So, good for him. He's a Cleveland Brown. We want him to play good. So
Yeah. I mean, that was never, not our intention. I think
no,
the his play on the field was always kind of like we expected him to step up and play really well. Where we saw flashes of Taki making some great plays, memorable plays, and impact plays, and we just hadn't seen anything out of Mac Wilson. I mean, the only play that I remember, actually two plays that I remember in my entire time watching Mac Wilson, and I probably watched every single snap that he's been in since he's been a Brown, was he had an interception that I think he brought back to the house in a preseason game his rookie year, which were like, ooh, this guy's going to be insane.
right?
And then the hit on Josh Allen when he was going out of bounds.
Yeah, right. And we go a step further, the hit on Chubb.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then that's the other thing, which is like negates all of it, negates everything. And then on top of it, I think that the big criticism, and I think the thing that you and I would talk about quite a bit, was just the immaturity of how he was reacting towards the fans, like going to hunt down fans who were just talking about him, not mentioning him, not looking to pick a fight with the guy. Just going out there looking for anybody who's said bad things about him, blocking them, or or just mentioning that. It's just like, it's stupid. And I also get why fans do it, because they're like, they can, if they feel like you can get their attention, then they're gonna do that. People are gonna be idiots like that.
And in that case, it worked.
Exactly.
Or in those cases, I should say. Yeah.
It worked. But I think the crazy thing about it was that, especially the people who did not mention him, were like, what the hell? I made a comment about the guy and he blocks me for just that. That's that.
Like he was searching his name. Now he's searching the film and he's showing up.
Yeah. And by the way, this is a good time to bring up the fact that the guy Daryl Ryder finally blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah, you were proud of that today, or a couple days ago.
Well, I think I know I've gotten under his skin before with some of the things that I've said to him. I know I have, and he is a guy that honestly, I feel like he's smug. I feel like he's one of the guys who looks for the negative angle. And then when he went on the Pittsburgh radio station and said, that we couldn't win the game, and was, laughing it up with those guys.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, he should have been thrown. He should have had his press pass revoked that
Gone.
moment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to be a fan of the team, but you can cover the team, even if you're not a fan. You can cover the team in a neutral fashion that doesn't seem dickish. Like,
and that's how he comes off. I mean, you're absolutely right, especially in that instance. Absolutely.
Yeah. Putting AFC North on notice. The Bengals are for real. Like we're all watching it too, dude.
Yeah,
Like
we know.
you're not saying anything that's like, that you've got some hot take. Like we get
And
it.
the other thing too that I think gets lost in the shuffle. If if you ask me, right, I don't even know if the Ravens, I'm just going to throw this out there, if the Ravens or the Bengals or the Bills or even the Cardinals for that matter, I don't even know how good they are or just how not very good these teams are this year overall. Because I mean, you look at the Ravens defense. I mean, they're
Yeah,
really not that good.
Ravens are banged up.
They're banged up. They've lost guys. Even if you look at the offensive line, they've lost guys. You've got Latavius Murray hurt. You've got, you know, Le'Veon Bell back there. So, and then you look at the Chiefs, and the Chiefs offense has been garbage. The offensive line has come back to except for the one kid, I think the center has been playing well, but the other guys, they've come back down to earth since week one. Their defense is putrid. I think they're 32nd in the league. And then you look at the Bengals. Obviously, I mean, Joe Burrow is a talent. Jamar Chase is a talent. Mixon's good. I mean, I wouldn't put Mixon.
Good. Mixon is very good.
Like I wouldn't put him in elite status.
They can't open holes for him in that offensive line.
No, and that's where I was going to. The offensive line, not very good. Their defense is starting to gel a little bit. They've got some guys here and there, but I'm not so sure that it's not more lack of overall football talent and the teams being exceptionally good as I feel like there's this year more than any other year. I almost feel like there's a lot of parity amongst the league, and really there's nobody that you look at that you'd say I'm scared to play X. I can't think of anybody. I mean, you look at the Cardinals; they're undefeated. I mean, if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and we have a little bit better game plan, I mean, they actually outplayed us the whole game. But there was a point in time during that game where we were still in it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
we beat ourselves in that game, and that's where I think, and I went off on the referees and everything like that after it.
Yeah.
I'm like, the bottom line is, they're calling penalties on us and not calling them blatant penalties on the other team. And I just don't understand it. It's not the first time I've watched football. It's not like I don't understand the rules of the game and how these things work. But if you go back and you look at on Twitter at like how Myles Garrett gets held every freaking play, and they do not call it. They just say you're just too good, Myles. Like, we're going to allow them to do that, because if not, we could throw a flag on every play. And if we start throwing flags, then they're not going to hold you and you're going to destroy the quarterback. I mean, it's to that point. But then we have, rinky-dink type stuff. When you have Mark Sanchez going, oh, yeah, that's, just touching Kyler Murray, touching him and pushing him a little bit. Whereas Baker gets actually hit in the head. He gets tackled with helmet-to-helmet contact, and that is not called. But you can push Kyler Murray? I mean, that to me that's when I tweeted out. I'm like, they're either incompetent or there's corruption. It's one of the two. There's no other rationale. Right? And I think that is the one thing that has gotten us in trouble the most over the last couple of seasons. Going back to the Freddie season, you take any of those games we lost with Freddie and you take away all the penalties, right? We're winning a lot of those games. Freddie Kitchens might still be our coach if it wasn't for that. And then, Stefanski in the presser afterwards is like, yeah, it's a short week, and short week you're gonna have discipline problems, stuff like that. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah.
These are professional football players. 3 times, 3 illegal formation penalties. 3, 1, got it, mistake. 2, Holy shit, what are you doing? Line up correctly. 3? And then if you count the Njoku one at the end, we literally have won the game. And he can't do his job correctly. It is infuriating. It is just, it's insane. And it makes me not happy.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I mean, there's a reason why they put a team in Vegas, and there's a reason why, there's point spreads and there's odds. And I mean, you could sit down with somebody that's in that business and which I have, and they go through all of the things that make up the sports betting world, especially from the NFL side. And yeah, I mean, of course, and we saw it in the NBA. The guy's name slips my mind now, years ago, but it's out there, and it's just, and I don't think it runs rampant. I think that there's just blown calls as well. And
Tim Donaghy.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Yeah, absolutely.
You want to know something funny about that guy? So, one of my first jobs out of college was doing mortgages, like high risk mortgages for this company called AmeriQuest, and I got hired out of college. I don't know what the hell I was doing. It was a job paying me.
Tell me you sold him a mortgage.
I did not, but this company would basically hire anybody. I mean, they hire used car salesmen, ex-stockbrokers, and they hired this one guy who was a stockbroker who was being investigated for just doing too much action on people's accounts without their
some UDAP.
Right. So he ended up actually going to jail years later, because it was just in the court system for a long time. And he goes to jail. He goes and he's in the same prison as Tim Donaghy.
Get out.
And then later on, I just run into these guys like a decade later. No, it couldn't have been a decade later. It was probably 5 or 6 years later, right? I run into them at a bar, and I'm like, "What's going on? What are you guys up to?" "Oh man, we're starting this new business, and this one guy ran into the Tim Donaghy guy, and he we're starting a business together with him. It's just gonna be great." I'm like, "Wait a second, you're gonna start a business with this guy who's famously corrupt? That's a good idea."
Here's the question: how'd it work out? I mean, that's what we want to know.
I don't know. It's just weird things that happen in South Florida.
You gotta look that up.
Yeah, I should. Just when you brought that up, I was like, it's a good point. Basically here it is. Human beings are by nature corrupt. Corruption corrupts in an absolute manner. It corrupts journalists. It corrupts priests. It corrupts, obviously, politicians, police officers, every scientists, every aspect of life. Right?
The dollar, the ruble, the yen, it don't matter.
Yeah, the power
money talks, and you know what walks.
Yeah, power and money and all that stuff that gets involved with it, and then you do it at that level. I mean, there's a TikTok account. I can't remember what it is. There's a TikTok account that goes through all the bad bets, all the worst betting situations in football, and highlights them. It's like the team is up by a certain, whatever the spread is, and they do something weird, like go for 2 at the end if there's no reason to. And they're like, and then they look at this point spread, and they're like, well, look at what the point spread was, and look what happened. I mean, there's probably coincidence that happens to a certain degree.
Well, I mean, what would the prop bet have been tonight that I was going to use ruble and yen?
Ruble and yen, yeah, good point. Evan Chase asked what part of Florida. He's in Naples. I'm in Central Florida. I'm in Orlando now, but this is back when I was in South Florida, in the wild Broward County days.
Broward County.
Yeah, wild place. So anyway, back to the PFF. We've gone on a big tangent.
I haven't seen your dad in the chat. He probably bolted on us. We're going to get a text message.
These guys, they can't stay on topic.
Danny, you're still out there.
Yeah, Dad, if you're there, I apologize. The arrow is still pointing at PFF. We are going to continue going through it. Nonetheless, so I think we're through like the top 3 guys. Like
Yeah,
we got through like
wait.
we got Miles, Taki
We
Taki.
didn't even get to 3. We did
Okay,
Miles, Taki
skip.
Taki, and we skipped the 5 for Mac. You know what? This will be like, David Letterman's top 10. I'll just start rattling them off, and then
I
we'll get
think
to
let's do it.
the offense. So Troy Hill 3, which is
You know what?
nice.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say Troy Hill, in the secondary didn't have a bad game for the first time
No, yeah,
ever.
he had a solid game, and you're
And,
right. Usually he's at the bottom.
and John Johnson's got to be up there too because I thought he played well.
Yeah. Oh, your dad's still in there. So, uh, Anthony Walker was 4, and this is 2 games in a row that he's starting to play well. He had 50 snaps, an 80.1 score, 83.8 top tackling score on the team, and a 76.5 in coverage. I mean, that to me, what I found really impressive is if you just look at the coverage scores alone this past week, you've got the linebackers, Taki a 77.6. You got Anthony Walker, a 76.5. You got Mac Wilson, a 79.1. Then you go to your cover guys, and you look at Troy Hill, we just talked about, an 81.1 in coverage, which, as we said, is an exceptional score. Then you look at Greedy Williams. He comes in at 6th. He's 76 overall defense, but he's a 75.9 in coverage. And then you look at G. Newsome, and he came in at 9, and he was a 73.4 and a 73.1 in coverage. And then we talk about your guy that you just mentioned, John Johnson, comes in the top 10 for the first time in 8 weeks, right? Or 7 weeks. And he's a 65.9, played 50 snaps as usually. He's always at the top of the snap count. He's got the dot on his helmet. And he's a 61.9 in coverage. And I have to tell you, if I could go back through weeks 1 through 6, and a 61.9 is like an 81.1 for Troy Hill for John Johnson, because John Johnson's coverage scores recently, first 6 games, we're talking, 29.8, 43.7,
Yeah, I mean, like miserable.
Absolutely.
So that's the interesting thing. I mean, are guys like that we brought in to be difference makers, like Anthony Walker, like Troy Hill and John Johnson, have they turned a leaf? And are they going to be the guys that we initially brought in, or was it just kind of one data point and the trend is still pretty bad?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You look at, so Denzel was 11th, 65.2 overall, 29.6 in tackling, 64.7 in coverage, which was better than John Johnson, but not by much. Then you had Delpit at 12. So if you remember when I say last week, I mean week 6, not the Thursday night game. If you remember, Delpit only played 7 snaps, and we were like, well, what's going on? Is he, is he in the doghouse? Is he not, or is he blowing assignments, what have you? So you saw his snap count go up. He played 29 snaps, and he was 12th with a 63.8, and his coverage grade was better, 64.3. He's a weird one for me because there were those couple games where he really flashed.
Yeah.
And then that went away, and I don't know.
I
don't know why.
I have a theory on it.
Yeah.
I think it's because at the safety position, it's a seldom celebrated position. You have to play center field a lot and then get lucky with passes that kind of sail and be in the right place at the right time. And then when you're coming up to, like, on a safety blitz or something like that, or coming in and making a tackle on a run play, like those are the flashy plays. But the vast majority of what you're doing as a safety is in coverage. It's in zone coverage, right? Where, like, the ball's not gonna be in your area, and you're not gonna be asked to do a whole lot other than stay in a zone, and if something happens, move into that zone where it's happening, right? So it's just really rare that you're gonna see somebody do that. And the unfortunate thing is, it's almost like more light gets shined on you when there's things like blown coverage.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Could you could you imagine though if Joe Woods for once let these exceptional cover guy or man cover guys play man? Be it'd be interesting to see.
I mean, I'm concerned about what the future is going to hold for like a guy like Denzel. You know, you got Denzel, and so Denzel, Greedy Williams, and Greg Newsome have all had injuries within the last several years. All of
Yeah.
them. We cannot keep these guys healthy. And then you got a guy like JOK who's playing out of his mind. Playing out of his mind. And then he goes down.
What a freak thing for him too. I mean, that was just a freak.
Yeah, it wasn't like he
making a tackle and it just rolled on him. Like it's just
no. And then it begs the question, are the Browns going to commit to Denzel long term? And if so, why?
well, the good thing is they picked up the 5th year, so we don't have to worry. Next year is a foregone conclusion. We'll worry about it then. But
and then JOK going to be a guy who's going to show flashes of excellence, and then be a guy who's going to be like Denzel. And it's like, well, I mean, if he could just stay healthy, he would have been excellent. But I don't know.
yeah, we'll see. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But Sunday marks week 3 for both Hunt and Jock, if I remember correctly. So if one of them, and they're probably not ready, but if one of them were to be ready, they are eligible to come back starting next week. But I mean, that's crazy. So next week would already be 4 weeks removed.
But now, like the other thing too is now our linebackers are playing okay. So it's like we're not in a desperation position where like we got to throw JOK back, even
right,
if
you
he's
can let
like,
him heal.
Yeah, let him heal. He's young. Don't screw it up. There's the mug, and there it is, the Wednesday show official mug with little Mike, and the green screen is actually even paying. It's working with us as well.
It's working. Look at little Mike.
Love it, dude.
I just got a trim yesterday too. I'm almost back to this little Mike hair.
It's funny. I think I'm just gonna get a haircut on Friday. Try to do that.
I gotta look good at the Rock Hall on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Like, so are you a big Foo Fighter fan? Is that like a?
Oh, I love the Foos. Yeah,
You love it.
And then the whole, not to stray away from the PFF again before your dad beats me when he sees me live, but
Steelers.
Yeah.
He's like, come on.
But right. So yeah, I mean the lineup's killer. I mean, so you got the Foo Fighters being inducted by McCartney, and he's going to play with them. So it's like mind blown. You've got, as cheesy as this might sound, like I am so stoked to see the Go-Go's play. Tina Turner's going in, Carole King's going in, Jay-Z's going in, LL Cool J's going in. There's rumor that Dr. Dre is going to be there. Christina Aguilera is there. Taylor Swift, if you like her.
God, what's going on?
Jennifer Hudson's there. Brian Adams is there. And the list goes on and on. And trust me, they were a pretty penny, but we were like, how do we not pull the trigger on this? I mean, it's what are the odds that we happen to be there the same weekend that they actually are doing the inductions in Cleveland as opposed to at the Barclays Center in New York? So,
yeah,
I'm this is going to be a fabulous weekend.
You see the Nirvana movie that's coming out?
Yeah.
That's gonna be pretty wild too.
Years ago, when I'll throw this little tidbit out there. Years ago, when I was on tour, I couldn't sleep. I went up to the front to have a smoke with the driver, who was Dave Grohl's driver. He drove their bus around for years, had a song about them, and he was actually on the phone with Dave Grohl, and I didn't believe him. And he was like, here, and he gave me the phone. I talked to Dave Grohl for like 10 minutes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a friend who was from, he was on Long Island, and he saw Nirvana play in New York City.
You know, one of my biggest, and I hate to have, say, oh, I got to regret or whatever, but I will say one of my regrets. My buddy had a ticket for, and I think it was the In Utero tour that he actually passed on when they were overseas. But anyway, regardless, he had an extra ticket in Philly, and he was like, "Come on, come with me or whatever." And and I was like, I don't feel like I was already on I was going to concerts left and right back then. It's like, you know what? It's that old story you always hear when people are like, oh, did you ever see Zeppelin? Oh man, I could have had a ticket. And I said, I'll wait till next time. And there was no next time. Well, that was my Nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah. They're one of the few that I hadn't seen from that generation. I mean, I never had a chance. I was a little bit too young and, got lucky. I got to see some of the other ones, some of the big acts during that time. I saw Pearl Jam. Which was almost an impossible ticket to get at one point because they're a big bout with Ticketmaster and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's like
they're probably the only band of that era. Because I mean, that was my heyday. I mean, that was my high school and early college years. But the only band out of all them that I didn't see was Nirvana. I've seen Pearl Jam a million times. I saw Alice in Chains a bunch of times. Soundgarden a bunch of times. I mean, that's even the Screaming Trees, if you want to go even further and deeper into the Seattle scene. But I mean, whoever the who's who of the Seattle music scene, I saw them all but Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance. I would have loved to see an Alice in Chains. I didn't get into Alice in Chains till like later, late 90s when, Lane was already gone. But yeah, that'll be fun, man. I have seen the Foo Fighters. I saw the Foo Fighters when they toured with Weezer.
I saw that tour too. You know what? Out of all the bands I've ever seen, and there's bands that I can't even remember that I saw that my brother's like, hey, remember when we saw whatever. I'm like, we went to that show. But besides like Page and Plant back in the day, I saw them 3 nights at the old Spectrum, or actually it might have been the Core State at that time. But anyway, with that being said, all the bands that I've seen to this day, the tightest band I've ever seen live is the Foo Fighters.
Have you ever seen Muse?
No, I never did see them.
I've seen Muse several times, and I got to tell you, I actually was in disbelief. I was in disbelief. I thought they were just playing their CD.
So they were pretty tight too. Yeah, there's some good ones out there.
It was like it was non-believable that they were actually playing it live. I was like, it didn't make any sense. And I've seen them up close. I've seen them, in the from the second level. And I just sit there and I remember I was talking to a friend. I'm like, I don't understand how these guys are doing what they're doing because it does not make sense to me. Muse is very good. So my dad's saying, move on to Steelers. Let's go to offense. Let's go to the offense. We'll get into we'll get back into this stuff in our final thoughts segment.
Let's see. Oh. Or I'm not even going to go there. You know where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Final hour thoughts. No, I mean.
Fine.
So all right. So
I did make the Zoom call. I maxed it out at 3 hours, but I was like, it's not going to go long at 3 hours. Like that's silly. I'll make it 3 hours.
I'll tell you what. Let's throw it to the chat. Who do you guys think is the number one graded offensive player last week?
I'm going to say it's an offensive lineman. Is it an offensive lineman? And then I'll tell you who I think it is.
Okay.
Is it yay or nay offensive line?
Yes, it is an offensive lineman.
Okay.
The chat has not even thrown it. I got to tell you, the music conversation is popular. It's still going on in there.
Yeah. It is.
All right, here they come. Now they're like, yeah. All right.
Johnson, Wills.
I will say that there's a winner. There's 2 winners.
I think it's Teller.
Yeah.
I think it's Teller. He played well.
He really did. And for you, the earnest guys out there in the chat, he was second. But yeah, Teller. I mean, 91-1 with a 91-6 run block grade. So I mean, he
Wyatt Teller.
71 snaps too, Mike.
I ordered my Teller socks, by the way.
Oh, so, you know what? My Jock ones came in, and I can't even. And not that I could wear them anyway, because I'm not going to be wearing shorts on Sunday. But They'll have to wait for opening day.
Yeah, my Teller ones. I'm sure they're not going to get here for a while because they have to be like custom made. But yeah, I'll finally have some Wyatt Teller socks, and then eventually, I keep telling myself I'm gonna get a Wyatt Teller jersey, and I'm like, I don't know, like I own so many damn jerseys, and half the games I'm not even wearing them because I'm just wearing these homage T-shirts or Sabo Apparel T-shirts or something like that. I'm not
You
even
gotta go crazy. Go crazy with me. I went out on that limb and I spent the $300 and I bought the Elite Jock. I'm waiting for it to be made.
I am very curious to how you like that jersey, because that, if you're like, it is the best jersey I've ever owned, I will never buy anything else because this is the best one. I could see myself getting a Wyatt Teller Elite and then just being done with it and just being done.
They're gonna extend him. So
they have to. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the league.
And I used to love, I mean, Joe Thomas for obvious reasons, but I also always loved to buy Joe Thomas's jersey because his number is the year I was born. So it's like, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. Got a Hall of Famer and something that means something to you.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Wyatt Teller when he was at Virginia Tech. I mean, I knew all the guys, especially the guys who were going to make it into the league. I knew who they were. And, I didn't expect him to be as good as he is. Yeah. But he is very good, and he was very good when he was there. Yeah. So, it's an interesting thing. My friend Cam has more stories about Wyatt, back in the day, because he follows the Hokies a lot closer than I do these days. I'm like basically 99% NFL.
Yeah, that's me.
So, all right. So Wyatt's number 1.
So Wyatt's 1. The Ernest is 2 with a 90.6. Obviously a 90 run grade. I mean,
let's talk about D'Ernest Johnson here for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously there's a lot that's been said about it, D'Ernest Johnson and all this stuff. And he's been interviewed by, national media outlets and stuff like that.
You and I said it last week, right? He could start on half the teams in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. You called that. You said he can start on other teams. And, it just hadn't been proven yet in a hey, this is your game. He's had some games where he was asked to come in and play second fiddle to Kareem.
Yeah.
But not where he was given the, you're playing the lead role here. And he stepped up and did it. Now, I think the interesting thing is, I do think even if Nick Chubb comes back, you're going to see him playing that Kareem Hunt role. And I think what we didn't ask him to do a ton of was a lot in the blocking scheme that was complex.
Yep.
And we asked him to basically be a workhorse for that game. And he did.
And you know what? And he still had a solid pass blocking score at a 65-9. He's still green.
Yeah, I think he did his job. I just don't think that we didn't. It's not like we had Case Keenum dropping back 50 times. Yeah. I don't think that there was so when you think about some of the plays where you want to get the running backs involved, like really like screen plays and stuff like that. Those are skill type plays that you have to practice and be ready for. And that's just an element of the game. If D'Ernest Johnson had elite hands, then 100%. Yeah. So congratulations to Ernest, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, we have 3 exceptional running backs on this team, and then a 4th where I got to tell you, like Demetric Felton, he has he plays with with a different gear.
Yeah,
he plays with a level of like, he's not going out of bounds. He's gonna put his shoulder into you and get the extra yard. I think it's awesome. Yeah. So 4 good running backs. I think Quincy Carrier said, how funny would it have been if you think back to what was like 2012 or 2012, 2013, whenever it was when we had Trent Richardson, that, this year we'd have 4 running backs better than Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
We'd all be like, wait, what?
What a miss that was.
God, yeah. So who came in number 3? If I had to guess. Hooper. Okay, I wouldn't have guessed Hooper. I would not have guessed that. So.
Who would you have guessed?
I would have gone with another offensive line. I would have gone with probably Bitonio.
Yeah, he was 4. Hooper was an 86.7, and then Bitonio came in at a 79, and then Felton came in. You know what? Felton played 22 snaps, believe it or not. uh, and he had a 78-6 offensive score.
We didn't ask him to do a lot, actually running the ball, but we got him involved in other ways. And he's one of those guys that he wants to take one to the house. He is dying to return a kick.
Oh yeah. You know what? It's a matter of time, I think. But then at the same time, I mean, the NFL really neutered the kick game. It's and I get it. I understand the safety and whatnot, but I mean that was really one of the most exciting parts of the game, really, if you think about it, and they took that away from us. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I think pretty much the whole offensive line did pretty well. I am curious to see where Will's ended up.
So I'll give you two different ends of the spectrum. So again, and now if you remember, and you do, and I'm sure everybody in the chat does, until Von Miller went down, I mean, he was rushing on Blake Hantz's side. And Blake Hantz came in at number 6 with a 70.7 overall score and a 77.2 in the run block. I mean, if you would have told me that we went from Baker learning Blake Hantz's name in the huddle last year to this guy is literally, our best lineman off the bench. I mean, not even close. I mean,
he's a starting offensive lineman in this league.
He really is.
He absolutely is.
There is no doubt that he can most certainly get a contract somewhere. He's that good. And then you asked, about Jed, and then there's 17 players ranked this week, and Jed was 16th. Played 71 snaps, same as Hantz. A 50.6 overall, 45.3 in the run block, and 57.6 in the pass block. And I know, PFF isn't everything, and Jed, he's getting his feet. I thought he played just fine coming second game back from an injury.
I agree.
There was nothing that I saw that I went, come on, Jed. He and we talked about this last week. We just need him to be healthy enough that he's able to get out of his stance and get into his drops and make sure that unit is still, functioning as one. I mean, it's almost like synchronized, ballerina, or I don't even think that's a thing, but you know what I mean? Synchronized swimming or gymnastics or what have you. And just one little piece of that, of that machine is just off a little bit, then you see, the jailbreak that we saw, for a little while. But
yeah.
Odell was right above him, Mike, at 15, 43 snaps.
It's just another game where Odell was more of a liability being out there than not in terms of his production. But there are some other intangible things that are really difficult to measure about having Odell out there. That he does demand the attention of defenses, yep. And it opens some other things up. But he's gotta catch the ball, and to have numerous drop passes, or maybe not even drop, but just opportunities to catch the ball, and that they aren't executed. And then you have Jarvis coming back, making every catch. It's
like he's got fly paper on his hands. I mean,
making Odell look bad. I mean, it made Odell look like, hey, Odell, that's what we want you to do. Do what Jarvis is doing.
And he's hurt, and we get that, but it's just weird.
So then don't play.
And we want him to do well, but he reminds me, and he's not that old, but he almost reminds me of, like, that favorite player you had back in the day, and they get older and they're just not performing the way that they once performed, and you're like, yeah, but that's so and so, and they're great, but yeah. It was like, the former shell of themselves was the great, and now it's just okay. And somebody said it earlier in the chat, and I mean, it's starting to look that way. And again, it could all turn around in an instant. But it when he hurt himself that initial time against us in the preseason, remember the ankle? Ever
Yeah.
since then, he hasn't been the same.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot more season to go. I know he is fighting through it. He does not. I mean, he
Yeah.
missed so much last season, and now he's almost overcompensating for how much he's missed. Because I think at this point he's due for a big game. I finally dropped him in I mean, I wasn't playing him in fantasy anyway. He wasn't even. I was playing like Charlie Kirk, AJ Green. I mean, guys that I shouldn't be playing either. But I had to roll off him because he's not producing anything.
No.
And it's
Producing drops.
You got guys like Jarvis and Odell who are being paid big boy dollars and not getting into the end zone. And Jarvis at least had scored a lot of touchdowns for the Browns. Like Jarvis has performed. OBJ has had a couple of plays.
Look at the money he makes.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. That's where it's not going to stay. And I think the worst part about it is when OBJ leaves, I think I don't think he'd have any problem like bashing and be like blaming it on other people or the organization or big. I can see that coming. Mark my words, fans. Like the tell-all is going to be coming out at some point. And you know what? I don't even care. I don't care. Didn't work. Look at Stefan Diggs. Look at that. Look at Chase. All right, it's working out for other people and other quarterbacks. Shut up and catch the ball. That's what it is. I mean, Baker's not completely not at fault either. He's missed him. But the bottom line is that it no longer can be looked at and said the chemistry is a bullshit thing to say, because there's something there that's not working, whereas Baker can do it with Jarvis.
Yeah, right. And the other thing that's crazy is if you go back to the player swap, if you remember, Peppers was just starting to come on when we traded him.
Yeah,
and he's been nothing but injured. Poor guy. He did a high ankle sprain and a blown ACL this past weekend, so he's done again. And the lineman, I don't know why is
Kevin Zeitler.
Kevin Zeitler, another guy that he never lived up to. Yeah, he never lived up to the billing. And then you look at OBJ, and he hasn't lived up to the billing. So it was an even. You can't even say somebody won that trade. I mean, as of today, October 27, 2021, it's a wash.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It's not that I don't want to see him do well. He's a star and he's exciting. And when things are going great, things are going great.
Yeah.
But there's just something about it that it's not working. So yeah, so that is what it is. I mean, with him being that low in the PFF, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Where did the rest of the team settle out on offense?
So Jarvis was 7th, 69-3 at 38 snaps.
I can't believe he came back at the end of that game.
Yeah, it almost.
And he's not practicing.
It was like that woe is me feeling that I got when I, here we go again. But yeah, he came back. He said he's fine.
It wasn't like it was the same thing, right?
No, which was weird. It was the same knee, but not the same thing, which is peculiar. But
it's just weird. And I mean, I don't want to see them shut down Jarvis or OBJ. I don't want to see them shut them down.
No, I agree.
Because they're too damn valuable.
And I think they won't. I think they'll be able to. I mean, barring something crazy, I think they'll be able to.
An MCL sprain, like, did we rush Jarvis back too soon? We definitely needed him in that game, though.
Yeah, well, and that, you bring up an interesting point, because I don't want to say they rushed him back, right? Because if they would have played him in the Arizona game and then come back 5 days later, whatever it was. I think that would have been too rash. But to your point of where you were just going a second ago, you know, we needed that, right? We needed that performance and those snaps out of him. But did we lean on him a little bit too much in that game? And, it would have been a little bit better if we had laid off of him, to let him have a game to get his feet. You know what I mean? Like he was. I mean, he was in the nitty gritty. I mean, he was the passing plan.
Yeah. I mean, they had designed from the first play.
Yeah.
From the first
absolutely.
play on. So, well, hopefully Jarvis is okay. I would love to be up there in Cleveland and see the full complements of our offense.
Yeah.
Conklin's practicing, so I mean, like, he could be back out there. So it would just be great to see it. But
Agreed.
I also don't want to see guys that are going to be a shell of themselves, like what we're getting at a Jedrick, if it's going to be at the detriment of something else, right? So
yeah, you know what, you bring up an interesting point, because that a good point. 2 games, and Jed's got through both of them. Knock on wood for the third coming up, and he looks like he's getting his sea legs back under him. So that's good to see. At least we know that we don't have a banged up, could come out at any time, protecting Baker's blind side on Sunday. Because we know Baker's going. I mean, there's no
Baker's going. I mean, yeah.
The video you saw today,
when they put Mullins down there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not gonna roll into the game with like a maybe,
Yep.
like he's playing. So he wants to beat the Steelers. This is a big game. It's not the Broncos. It's the Steelers. It's a big game.
You know what's going to happen right after we just had this whole conversation. I'm just going to call it now. There is going to be a very, very big hookup for a touchdown between Baker and OBJ on Sunday. It's in the making. I guarantee it.
It's due.
It's due. I guaranteed that victory. We got it. I'm guaranteeing a big Baker to OBJ play on Sunday. It's ripe.
Speaking of anything else big on the offensive side, just rattle through the rest of them on PFF.
No, nothing. John Kelly came in 9th. He had 3 snaps. We're not going to count that. Treader had a nice game.
I still think I still think Taki should have given Kelly the 44.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
If he put Kelly Jr. on the back of it, which would have been still funny. Which Kelly is that? Which Kelly 44 you got on? Oh, it's Kelly Jr.
So I'll leave you with this. To end the PFF scores. So, like I said, there were 17. 17 was Richard, 42 snaps, and he had a 50 overall.
Richard hasn't done a whole heck of a lot this season. I was hoping to get a lot more out of him, especially with Jarvis being out, especially with OBJ, missing some games. We've seen not a ton of production from Higgins, but when the ball goes his way, he does catch the ball. He does not have a drop problem or a fumble problem. He's very sure-handed when we get it in his vicinity. All right, let's move on to Steelers. Steelers coming into town. So we talked about this a little bit before. We've got, by the way, just for everybody here, my dad and I and Mike and his wife are going to be in town for this game. And it's a big one. This is going to be, I think this is going to set the tone. We have to keep winning, especially winning in the North. This is our first divisional game. And, with the, I don't know if I'm buying the Bengals yet. I really don't know if I'm buying them, but we have to beat the Steelers if we want to remain relevant, and we got to beat them at home. What happens in Heinz Field happens there, but we have to take care of business at home. And the good news is looking like some of these guys who are in limited practice are going to go, which is good. But
Yeah.
the Steelers are kind of circling the bowl right now with what's going on with them. Juju's out, right? So they're down one wide receiver. They can't run the ball at all. You know, they
Yeah.
draft Najee Harris and they get him the ball in every way, shape, and form. And really, the only thing he's being productive at is catching the ball out of the backfield, right? Which
Yeah.
is, imagine if they had a Dearness Johnson, they wouldn't have to waste a draft pick on Najee Harris, and you get production. We didn't have to, right? So, um, you've seen the Steelers in Cleveland certainly more than I have. What do you expect the atmosphere is going to be like at this game?
So I would probably liken it to, well, let's do this. Let's go this route first. So to your point, yeah, we've seen a bunch of games against the Steelers in that stadium. And for a lot of that time, it was you go in with some hope, and then by the end of the second quarter, you're like, you know, you watch John Connor score his third touchdown, and they're blowing us out, and you're like, oh, okay. And it wouldn't be a Wednesday show without a Bonzo cameo. I know you heard him.
Bark.
But so with that being said, I would probably so the and I hate to bring this up because I'm sick of talking about it, but the helmet game. So that was the first game in a very long time that we actually were laying the wood to them. And that stadium was electric. And then the incident happened. And then you still had that electricity, but it was a weird electricity and weird in a sense that I'll never forget the flight home and walking through the airport, just not knowing how to feel, because like you had that huge win, and then you knew Miles was probably going to miss the rest of the year because of the incident. So I'm looking for it to have that same feel without the the negative part of what happened that day.
I remember that like it was yesterday. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
I was in a hotel room, and I mean the really fun thing about this channel is if I want to go back to any reaction I have from any game, good, bad, indifferent, it is sealed in internet history now of how upset I was after that. It basically sealed Freddie's fate.
It was
as
horrible.
coach.
It was. I mean, I could still, all of us looking around at each other, all my friends that are season ticket holders around me, like, and I could still remember some of the conversations, like the highest of highs all of a sudden to the lowest of lows. And it was, I mean, I remember, I thought, oh man, I'm going to be able to strut through I mean, obviously we didn't beat the Ravens, but it was the Steelers and it was a big game. And I was like, oh, I'm going to strut through the airport on the back,
Yeah.
through
Hold on, Mike.
BWI.
The chat is dying to know. I know you tweeted out, but what are the uniforms?
Oh, the unis. Yeah. So there was actually, and let's put it this way. It was brown and orange or brown and white. And that's why they haven't announced it yet. They were trying to throw everybody off the trail. But I am 99.9% positive from my source that you will see brown jersey, orange pants with the brown socks on Halloween.
I wish they would have brought back, or if they would have just gone crazy and gone orange uniform, orange jersey for Halloween.
Yeah.
Or if they would have gone like color rush.
Speaking of jerseys, chat, and I'm leaning a certain way. But when it comes to, all right, so next year happens, right? 75th anniversary is over. The patch comes off. But me personally, and I'd like to see what you guys think, but me personally, I'm okay because and you and I have talked about this. I'm not a huge fan of the new color rush. I think it was a mistake taking the stripes off the arms. You and I have talked
100%.
about it in the pants.
Pudding pop.
It's like yeah, it really is like one of those the skinny pops. you know what I'm talking about.
Pudding pop.
And yeah, Jello pudding pop. Not that.
There's a guy in my fraternity.
But
We nicknamed him Pudding Pop.
those were great commercials, weren't they? The Jello pudding pop. I love those. But anyway, that takes me back to my childhood. But anyway, so would you guys say do away with the color rush and take well, I guess you could still keep the 1946 patch on because it means something. All right, no color rush, and we use the 1946 jerseys as our alternate color rush jerseys from here on out. Who is for or against that?
I like the 46 jerseys. I don't like how they do the helmet. Like I don't like.
What if? Well, there's no way. Well, all right, we could do whatever, right? We could say whatever. All right, what if they kept the throwback and they took the numbers off the helmet, and it was just the orange helmet with the white stripe?
No, I don't like it.
So you don't.
If you're gonna do the white stripe, then put the number on. I like the normal helmet. Like I don't want them to mess with the helmet at all.
Only for that game though, because if you remember, they're allowed to use the different helmets now.
Honestly, if you're gonna do something cool like that, like I feel like it's like the 1946 helmet's boring as hell. It's like a number on the side, like Alabama, and then you get one stripe down the middle. It looks. You know what it looks like? It looks to me like a concept that they didn't complete. You know, it's like halfway through the concept. I'd rather see them go nuts. And I know I'm in the minority here, but if you're going to have like one game, put the elf on the helmet. Put the elf on the helmet for one game.
But here's the thing. And you know I love the elf. But we never had the elf on the helmet. So now you're throwing the logo on there. What if I did this to you? What if we kept the jerseys, right? The whole uni. And then I gave you the throwback white helmet. Would that change your mind? Just for those games? I would love to see that. The throwback jersey with the old school white helmet.
I don't know. I think you're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna be like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I think you're gonna have equally as many people that are gonna be like, that's a terrible idea. Just like, I mean, I love this hat so much. Like, it's really kind of tough to see, but you can see it in the light. And when I saw you had it, I was like, do I get it because Rosano has it? What if we're wearing the same day? That'll look weird. And honestly, it was going through my head because I was like, I don't want to just like get everything Rosano has, but you have everything, so it's like really tough for me.
I mean, you can't.
I was like, well, what does he not have?
Very good point. Very good point.
There should be a section in like the Brown Shop or on Fanatics. It's like what Mike, like a public list of what you own, right? Other sites.
It's probably the whole thing. I mean, it gets to the point, Mike, where I go on there every day, and it's like I start looking at ridiculous stuff, and then I'm like, what am I absolutely doing right now? And then I got to get rid of it.
I do the same thing. I've got the Brown Shop that's always up, and I'm always looking for like what comes new. They're really pushing the military appreciation stuff. It's like, come on, guys! Like, who's buying camo jerseys? Nobody.
No, and you know, it's interesting that you bring that up because I wish they would take it to a like, it's stale at this point, as weird as that is to say, but it's always tailored to like the weird camo or whatever. And like, I'd like to see it branch out. You know what I mean? Even though, you know, obviously we're not blue and the Navy wears the blue, but they also wear the white. Like, incorporate some of the other branches.
Yeah. Why is it just the Army?
You know what I mean? Like, you could do some really cool stuff that you and I would buy. Like if they did like a cool, like, white kind of, even if they did like it was a salute to service, and it was a really sharp, white hoodie, and the Browns helmet was like blue or something for the Navy or whatever, and it still had like the patches on it, salute to service. I'd buy it. I think that would be sharp.
I see. I agree. I think it's tough because our helmet's the freaking. If they make the elf blue, make the elf blue. The helmet, like, and you see this on Fanatics where you have like they do like the American flag helmet, and it's like Browns. It's like, but our logo is a helmet. Like, it for me, it always, if it's not orange, I'm not buying it on a helmet. I'm just not. Like, there's black versions of it. There's a whole. I'm not buying it unless it's orange.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
But you could do it with the elf, and that's where I think the whole thing with the elf is all marketing. It's all marketing because it's not on any of it's not on our jerseys. It's not on the helmet. It's not on anything. It's just like part of the history of the team. That the elf, right?
You know what I love the elf on the best, Mike?
Stefanski's
no, better than that. And I guarantee you're going to agree with me. Nothing says, and they a couple of years ago they still had it on there.
The website?
No, on the sideline, but I haven't seen it recently.
Oh no, I haven't even noticed that.
But you're going to remember this as soon as I say it. For a very long time, they always had the elf on the back of the winter coat, like the big winter,
the big
jackets that they wear,
jackets,
like where they come off the sideline, they put the
big one like that goes all the way down to the feet,
always down to their feet.
There was the elf was on that.
Elf, yes, they always had the elf on it. Google it if you get a chance. Just look up, Browns winter sideline jacket with the elf.
I remember the iconic picture of Jim Brown where the field was looking out in the field and the field's snowy. I don't know, but now I can't remember if he's got the elf on it or not. But
yeah,
my dad said put the possum on it. I got to tell you, I was never a big fan of the possum. I thought it was like a way to sell T-shirts and something new. But
I think
the elf I love.
I have a possum in here.
You've got a brownie possum?
I think the brownie possum is in one of these drawers.
It's like a stuffed possum.
I'm gonna find them. Keep going about.
So anyway, we should probably skip over from Steelers. We're through that on to the trip of Cleveland. There it is. Is that an actual Browns branded something, or is it just a random possum?
Well, it's the one they sold in the pro shop.
Oh, so it is somewhat related to the team. It's not just like something you bought online or one in one of those claw machines.
Dude tailgates with us at the West 3rd and Summit. He's a mainstay there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. The trip to Cleveland. The weather is looking like it could be shaky.
It keeps going back and forth. I stopped looking at it. Literally, it's by like the hour.
Yeah.
54 and raining, 54 and sunny. 54 and rainy, 54 and sunny.
What is your situation? I think to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to be covered or not. There's a really good chance we're not going to be covered. I tried to buy seats that were covered, but I don't know how that stadium is. So I don't know.
Do you remember the picture of the Steelers game? Remember the opening? Was it Freddie year? No, it was Hugh Jackson's last year. It was Baker's rookie year. If you remember, and I'm sure some in the chat will remember that were there, that first game we opened against the Steelers, and the hurricane was coming up through the Gulf, and that was the rainiest game I've ever been a part of. I have a picture. I'll send it to you, and I might have sent it to you before.
Is that the one you were telling about how your wife with the socks?
It was the before and the after of my wife, and it is hilarious because she's all made up, and she's got the poncho on. It's like, here we go. And it's funny because we had booked that hotel late, and we wound up, I can't remember what hotel it is, but it's always at the end, almost getting back onto 71 there. It's uh, literally by the Guardians now stadium, and that was the longest, wettest walk. And yes, remember the socks? She asked if
Yeah,
she
the
should wear
socks thing.
socks, and I said no, and she just had the bare feet with the sandals, and oh man, it was dreadful.
Well, I wanted to ask what and American Saxon. If you come to Cleveland, I'll buy you a drink or wings. Appreciate that. It's Saxon. Um, I I want to know what's the situation in the stadium. Can you bring in ponchos? No
Yeah,
problem. Like
yeah, you could bring them in.
bring 'em-
And you just need the and they do sell bags that they try and say are, oh yeah, you could take these into the stadium, but they're not actually, even though they're clear, they're not the size. So they actually, I mean, you get one of those. I have like a little backpack. It's like this big. I think I got it in the Brown store, clear,
yeah.
and you just throw the ponchos in there, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think we might stop by. That's the we actually might have like clear stuff. I think I have it from like when I was a season ticket holder at Orlando City Soccer. Might be able to bring. If not, I'll just pick one up. Whatever.
So
Sarah asks, how long does it take to receive the Victory Monday mug, Mike? I don't want my thieving neighbors to benefit. Sarah, I'm not sure which Mike you're asking about. Probably, um, I guess either one of us can tackle that. I think so. Cleveland Clothing Co. typically does have a backlog when it comes to shipping. Remember last year? Remember like last holiday season where everything was like super backlogged, and like Santino like took him like 2 months to get it.
yep.
So Sarah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The last mug I bought for somebody, it cost me like $9 to ship it. Like, and I was like, what? That's a thing? $9? But yeah, Cleveland Clothing Co. people are awesome. So
Hey, as of now, 56 with a few showers in the morning, then clouds lingering. So
so we're
at that best case.
what time are you planning on getting to the tailgate?
I don't know. It always differs. I always have grandiose thoughts for the morning, and then I get there late. So I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna try and shoot to get there at a decent hour. We usually try and get into the stadium early before. I think the stadium opens at like 11:30. You can watch warm-ups and stuff. I think we usually start heading over at like 20 to 12 normally
20 and 12. Okay.
to go into the
Um,
game.
yeah, I might, since I haven't been to the stadium before, we might head in early.
Yeah, it
I
makes
definitely
sense.
want to hang out, in the tailgate for a little while, and we are going to do the pregame show from the hotel. My dad and I, and all of that. So we are going to do pregame. We are going to do postgame. It's just not going to be at the regularly scheduled times, obviously, because we can't go right up to game time since we're going to be there. I was going to have my son do it, and he was just getting too stressed out. He's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And I was like, don't worry about it. Don't worry. But we'll do it from the hotel room. I have the technology. So as long as the Wi-Fi connection from the Marriott. By the way, the Marriott. I was looking at the the rooms, how much the rooms are. So we booked this trip back in May, and the Marriott was $119 a night, which I was like, that's great.
Oh my God, 119 is a blessing.
It's a great price for like a Marriott downtown, any downtown.
Yeah.
And so I looked and I was like, well, let me just see if I were to get two rooms, right? My dad has his own room, I have my own room, whatever. $630.
Oh yeah. I literally, when that schedule comes out, we literally look at the schedule and go, all right, which ones are we going to? And we figure it out really quick.
You should
And
just you could
literally,
just like book the rooms
yeah,
anyway, just
that
hey, book 'em.
literally schedule night in my house is like an exciting time where it's all right. Which hotel are we booking? Are we booking the downtown Hilton? We were the
Yeah, you're
Drury,
Hilton
whatever.
guy, right?
Yeah, Hilton and the Drury we go to. So she, Laura books them all, and then I get on and snag. The airfare is kind of tough because you know how it goes in the monthly increments. So
Yeah.
I'm not able to. Schedule comes out in April. I think I'm able to book September, like a couple of weeks after, the schedule comes out.
Yeah, we our flight situation. So now our flight situation is this: we got a refund from Southwest because they were going to have us fly, instead of flying direct, they're going to have us fly into Chicago and then over, and it would have been like a 5.5 hour like total
Yeah, the
total
one
trip.
stopper.
So then and then actually I didn't even realize this. They were having us fly back through Atlanta and then back home, which is fine, but I don't want to have a layover, have to get a connection if I don't have to, right? It's stupid. So we booked the Spirit flights just as a backup plan in case like Southwest was going to be a mess, which I think it still is, right? So then we booked the Spirit flight, but then the Spirit flight coming home
Oh boy.
wasn't until like 6:50 at night on Monday.
Uh,
And my dad and I were like, we don't want to just like hang out in the airport in Cleveland all day because obviously we have to leave the hotel by like 11.
you
And
could keep
then
your stuff in there. They do let you keep your stuff in there and just walk around.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to do that.
I mean, that's a long time.
It's and you know what, I should be working that day and a whole bunch of stuff. So we ended up getting a flight back on Frontier, which is still a cheap flight. It was like $60 to fly back. But
Yeah.
then I upgraded the seats and I upgraded, we're going to bring a carry-on. So all in all,
You upgraded to
all,
the one that has a seatbelt.
yeah, all in all, I think we dropped like $200 on the flights, whatever.
Not bad.
And
Yeah.
we got good times flying up, flying back.
Yeah.
You
When
know,
do you
we
when do you fly in on a Saturday?
we get in at, I want to say 12:30, but let me
You know what
let
time
me
we get at? Like
double
10:30.
check that. Okay, I will be there at 12:46 p.m.
I will be there.
12:46. American Saxon. Something called
11:55.
11:55.
11:55.
I would say hang out, but that's basically like a whole nother hour till we get off the plane. We could have Ubered together over. But and then so what's your plan then Saturday? You're getting in, and then what time are you heading over to the hall?
It starts at 8. Um, I don't know what time we'll head over. We're at the Drury this trip, I believe. So it's at the Rocket Mortgage. So it's you just go across to the terminal tower, and then you take the tunnel, and it takes you all the ways literally to the Rocket Mortgage Center. So we don't have to worry about the rain or anything like that. Um, yeah, I don't know what time we'll head over. Maybe it starts at 8, maybe like 7ish, quarter of 7, something like that, I would think. Um, the ritual usually when we get there, we get to the hotel, put our things down, go grab a bite to eat, hit the pro shop, and then whatever after that.
Yeah, because you're one you're literally one block over from where I am. I'm in the Key Tower Marriott.
Yeah,
You're
you're yes, you're literally like I can go out the back way of the Drury and look at your hotel, literally.
yeah. And then First Energy looks like it's uh like 3 blocks from there.
Yep,
Is it
to your left.
is it comfortable walking distance
Yeah,
for
it's not
my
bad.
dad and okay.
Yeah, you should be right. It's just weird because so and they're talking about putting and they've doing it for years, but now the Haslams are behind it. But they're talking about putting like a walking park sidewalk, like literally straight back, sort of where our hotels are to the a little to the right, I guess, and then straight down because the way the city is, like when you leave your hotel, like you can't just walk out of the hotel and just go straight to the water. because the blocks are set up like cross weird. So
Yeah.
you got to go all
So
the
do you
ways
do you
down
take
to like
ninth?
third and
You
up.
take third. Okay, so you take
Yeah.
third to Al Lerner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the tailgate's over there. So we go down, make a left, and make a right on third, and then head down.
Who are all the people that are at this tailgate? So you said Slim's gonna be there?
No, I don't think he's coming for that game. Spidey usually goes down there. He makes a cameo. So it's Top Dog Tailgate. So Eric is down there. My friend Mike, Ryan Crowley's down there. There's a whole bunch of people. Yeah, like the Lauren. I'm sure you've seen her on Twitter. It's like the who's who. The Dirt Dog's there sometimes. I don't know if he's going to that game. But yeah, like I mean, you could go through Twitter and I could say, yep, they go to that tailgate. They go to that
Cool.
tailgate. Yeah.
Cool.
But there's a ton of good ones.
Nice. Well, hey guys, we're coming up in 2 hours. Let's do this Sabo Apparel giveaway.
Yeah.
Let's go 1 to 100 for. Okay, my number is in.
Who's gonna get it?
Sabo Apparel. So it's probably got a good chance because viewership dipped a little bit. So everybody's got a chance now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a chance.
I have a feeling I know what number you chose. I'll let you know.
They're tossing a number there. Mike R. Toss it in. David, Mike R44. No, close though. Well, no, I wouldn't even say close. But I think close from in standpoint of like what.
I feel like you had Kelly.
It is symbolic. Mind. It is a symbolic number.
Oh,
but it's not anything anybody's gonna be able to guess. I don't think. So I should change it. The last time I was there, I should change it to the last year I was in Cleveland, but.
I was just going to put what Brendan put.
What, 32?
51.
Oh, 51. No, it would be hashtag the number 5 IVE 1. Need to get a little wheel to spin for randomers. Yeah, there actually is one, but it's just ugly and I don't like to use it. I'm working with John Schlegel to probably next season. You know, every year we kind of upgrade we up our production quality a little bit more. I have lights coming in too, so eventually I'm gonna have 2 lights. So I'm not gonna have to like have my face always changing colors throughout the show. Okay, I think we're getting close. We'll call Mick the Dog's gonna be the last one. Last call for Sabo Apparel. Put your number in because I'm gonna be hitting the button here in a second. Last call for alcohol. Okay, the number was 21. For a number of reasons. You have Eric Metcalf returning tons of punts against the Steelers. This is the year 2021 that my dad and I are making our glorious return home to Cleveland to Lake Erie to watch a Browns game together for the first time since the 90s. I mean, how weird is that? That as big of fans my dad and I are, how rare it is for us to have, stepped foot in that city and for the purpose of going to a Browns game. I think there's 3 games I can remember. 2 of them were against the Oilers. One was against
back.
Yeah. One was against the Miami Dolphins when it was the game that Dan Marino tore his ACL.
Ooh.
No, not ACL. I'm sorry, Achilles.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, where Scott Mitchell came in, and they ended up beating us.
You brought up. It's funny you just brought up Dan Marino. I was at the Dan Marino Spike game. It happened right in front of us at the Meadowlands.
Really?
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar called that, right?
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think you're right.
we were at that game. That was the game that Najee Mustafa
There's a
ran.
blast from the past.
Yeah, he ran back like a 93-yard interception. It was the longest in Browns history. And so that was one game. And then there was another. It was a 4:00. It was a 4:00 game and it was like Leroy Horde was kind of our main guy on offense at that point, and we ended up beating the Oilers, and it was a really important game because it was late in the season. Might have been an either late November, early December game. Bitter cold. I remember that game, but that was the last time. The last game was I believe that Oilers game, and it was a win. It was the only time I saw them win in Cleveland. The other two games were losses, unfortunately.
Well, let's hope you see a win on Sunday.
Yeah, we absolutely need that. So, okay, the winner was who was the winner? Was it Mids Plug?
Who did win?
Mids had a 24. I'm going through everybody.
Yeah, I don't see anybody. No, 24 is the winner.
Yeah, Mids Plug is the winner. Time to check out Sabo. Congratulations, Mids. Nice. You are a very loyal fan, so congratulations that you won that. Check out Sabo. Send me an email, browniepostgame@gmail.com, with the shirt you want, your address, and your size. And we'll get that out to the Sabo Apparel people. They're quick. Rip through it. I like to stop by. I want to stop by like some of the Cleveland clothing stores.
I don't know where Sabo is.
You got GV. You've got
Cleveland.
Clothing.
Cleveland clothes. They're close to where you are.
Yeah, I like to go in there and meet those guys. I would love to meet Brian from Sabo as well. I want to buy some stuff. That's why we're paying for the extra carry on is because I know I'm bringing stuff back and it's going to be a lot. See you, Ryan. Go Browns.
See you, Ryan.
Mike, final thoughts.
It's going to be an exciting weekend for everybody, for you, your dad, for me, my wife. And as far as the game, it's going to be exciting for all of us because, like we talked about earlier, we're going to close to full complement. Baker looks good. We'll see how he progresses through the week. And, there's no reason, especially, and you got Chubb back. There's no reason why we should not win this game. We have more talent on both sides of the ball. I believe that. And, we should be 5-3 going to Cincinnati. So then that's going to be a big one. And I will say this, I have faith in this team, so much faith that the other night I woke Laura up out of a sleep to figure out what her Hilton password was for her Hilton honors. And I booked a hotel for January 8, 9, and 10. I got a deal on the airfare coming home. I'm waiting to see the airfare going, if it'll come down, because I feel like that Cincinnati Bengal game on January 9th might decide our fate. So I said, it was middle of the night, so I got to go to this thing.
You're going for it.
Yeah. So I think we win on Sunday. And
it's pretty much team. Pretty much a toss-up game. We're favored by 3.5. So
yeah, and this team. I mean, they can't give us anything to relax and be comfortable. So
no,
it's going to be like a 24-20 kind of game, 28-24. I think
I think we're going to be very up this game. I think we have a lot to prove. I think we don't want to, after beating them twice in a row, I think we clearly know we're not intimidated by the Steelers team. That's one thing I know for sure. And Miles is the Miles gift that just came up. Like, Miles is always up for this game. This is a big one for him. He knows that his career is going to be defined in a lot of ways by how many times he gets to Ben Roethlisberger. All those highlights, all the sacks that he has, the ones that matter the most are to us as Brown fans are the Roethlisberger ones.
Yeah.
So I know that they're going to be going hard. I hope that Jadeveon can play. It's now ankle, groin, and knee. Officially listed 3 things for Jadeveon. And I'm excited. I mean, this is a big game. It's a big game for me. We're going to be able to hang out, for the first time, where I get to meet your wife. Get to go up there and, be in a game with my dad. We've seen Browns games before. Most of them have been preseason, where we've seen them. But this is, I chose this game specifically because my dad's never seen the Browns play the Steelers. I haven't either.
This is good.
And it's a turning of the times type game. It's probably going to be Ben's last game in Cleveland, right? Most likely. And it'll be a memorable one, So going to take pictures, going to hopefully meet a lot of cool people and enjoy the game, and we'll see. I think we do win. The last couple games, the Chargers game, I felt uneasy about. The Cardinals game, I really felt uneasy about.
Yeah, you did.
And I the whole time I was like, Dad, I don't know about this one.
You secretly told your dad that you didn't think it was going to happen.
I did.
After you told us that you thought it was going to happen.
As soon as we got off I didn't say we'd lose. I just say I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about this game.
I could see it.
And then, but this one, all that concern's gone. If we get Nick Chubb back, he was in limited practice. We get Nick Chubb back, and we get our full complement offensive line. I think we want this game. It's an AFC North game. We need this game. You're going to see. It's weird. It's like we see a different Browns team every week because of who's available. And I think the team that's going to be available this week is going to put on a really good show, and I think we're going to win this game. And I don't know if we're going to blow them out of the water, but, I think we're going to do pretty good. So
yeah, I agree.
I'll leave it at that. Okay, everybody, we've been at it for a little over 2 hours. This is pretty much the standard time here. My wife just got home with my daughter, so I got to go say hello. And we will see you live from the downtown Key Tower Marriott on Sunday. We might even do some stuff on Saturday too. I don't know. Maybe we'll do an impromptu, show, my dad and I, on Saturday, whatnot. We'll figure it out. But hang tight, guys. I'm not sure exactly what time we're going to go live yet on Sunday. Probably going to be an early one, maybe like a 9 a.m. type thing, just so we can get some Brownie pregame in. And then whatever time we get back to the hotel after the game. So we'll probably leave, walk back, I don't know, figure if the game ends at 4, I'd say we'll be live no later than 5 probably for the post game, depending upon how things go. But
yeah, if you leave right after, it's a fight to get through the crowd, but you should be back before 5.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for this one, for the audience too, I think we're all going to be like, all right. I mean, they're there, so I mean, It's not like we're going to go live the second the whistle blows for the fourth quarter like we've typically been doing.
Where are they?
Why are they not there? 30 people in chat going like, when's this thing going to start? I want to hear them talk about it. But again, guys, we will see you in Cleveland Sunday, barring any type of crazy travel conditions. We will be there in Cleveland live. Brownie post game. And we'll see you.
Beautiful.
We will see you. Go Browns.
Go Brownies.